Hi, this is CK at CK Education. And today I want to talk to current juniors in high school. You're going to be applying to colleges next year in 2022. And I want to talk about something very important that can set you apart for college admissions when you apply. And this is called History of Correspondence. History of Correspondence is a lesser known, should we call it a strategy, maybe? And this is basically a history of how many times you contacted the college or visited the school. So, every year I hear students say, oh, this is my dream school is Johns Hopkins, or NYU is my dream school, or something like that. And I said, well, how many times did you visit the school? And sometimes they only live like 1 hour away, and they say, I never visited the school. And I say, how can you tell the school that that was your dream school? You've always dreamed of going there, and you've never visited that school. You never attended their information session. You never went on a campus tour. Heck, you didn't even email them, not even one time. And so your history of correspondence with that school is zero. Well, that doesn't look as good as someone who visited the school 2 times, emailed the admissions officer 3 times, contacted some professors there a couple of times, asked some intelligent questions. See, colleges keep a record of all these things to see what your history of correspondence is with that school. And the more history of correspondence with that school, the better. It shows you're interested. Now, obviously, if you're living in Maryland and you want to apply to school in Texas or in Seattle somewhere, it's not likely that you're going to go visit that school, right? I mean, that's thousands of miles away, but I have had students, because they have a relative or friend who lives in California, they're flying to California from Maryland, they do go visit some UC schools, and I've seen students do that. I'm not saying you need to do that, but if you can, that's great. Just make sure when you get there that you leave, a correspondence history. So when you go to, for example, the information session, they have you fill out your name and email and phone number, things like that. I would definitely fill that out. Because you want to leave a record of your visit, okay? And so if you can do that, and then usually schools have these 1-hour information sessions, you sign in, and then they have some rep, usually grad students, sometimes it's an undergrad, sometimes it's a staff member, and they'll give you the information session, and after that, it's followed by a 1-hour campus tour led by someone. And so during the pandemic, this was sort of closed, and more schools are now opening back up, and they're allowing in-person information sessions and campus tours. So if you can go to those things, especially if the school is not too far from you, if it's an hour, 2 hours, maybe even a 3-hour drive, you want to go and visit the school if you're very serious about that school. And the reason this is important is that so many students' applications look the same, right? SAT scores, they all look good. GPA, all looks good. Course rigor, all looks good. Took a bunch of APs. Yep, everybody did that. Extracurriculars, they all look pretty similar. Essays, well, that's one thing that can set you apart. Another thing, but, left to their own devices, most students write like pretty much the same essays. And so history of correspondence is just another factor in the college admissions process that will help you stand out. So when you email, you don't want to just say, hi, I just wanted to, you don't want to do something silly, of course. You want to ask intelligent questions. If you're going to email them to create this history of correspondence, maybe you want to email the admissions officer and you want to ask very specific questions about what you might want to study when you get there. So I'm really interested in applying to the architecture school, or I'm really interested in attending your school and studying blah, blah, blah. And I was just wondering what a typical course load might be in my freshman year when I get there. And if you have a professor or someone, a counselor that you can refer me to, then I'd be happy to ask those people those questions as well. But you can start that conversation, and then that person, you want to make sure you say, my name is so and so, and I'm from whatever high school, and you want to leave a record of your contact, right? Emailing. And so whenever you do that, I always tell students, tell your name at the end and also the high school that you're from, okay? And the email that you email them with, you want that to be the same email that you enter into your application so it can match up. That just makes sense. That's just logical, right? And if you can do that, and if you can continue this sort of, I don't want to say continue like ongoing, but if you can, the more history of correspondence, the more contacts, more emails you have, even phone calls. If you do call them, make sure you say, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I'm a junior at whatever high school, and I'm really interested in attending your school and studying blah blah blah." Ask intelligent questions and see if you can get some information. Okay. And like I said, if you can't, go visit the school. This history of correspondence is something that people don't really take into account. And I think that you should, especially because it seems every single year it becomes more and more competitive to get into these schools. Now, I'm talking primarily about the elite schools, but that doesn't discard or disregard public schools such as University of Maryland here or Virginia Tech and schools like these. I would also visit those schools as well. If for no other reason than for you to go see the campus and learn more about the school. But even some of these state public schools, it's not a walk in the park. I mean, here in Maryland, University of Maryland College Park, it's not like it was 15 years ago. It's tough to get in, and their standards have gone, and they're just gone up, and it's more competitive to get into these schools, it seems, every year. And so whatever you can do to have a little bit of an edge, I think it's important to do so. And history of correspondence is just one of those things that I recommend you do. So before you apply to the college, let's say winter break of 2021, which is coming up, or even spring break of 2022, or even if it's just a weekend, if you can go. If you go on a school's website, they'll tell you certain times that they have information sessions, and it's usually followed by a 1-hour campus tour. But even if you can't do that, you can email them and you can do that. So I highly recommend it. That's my advice for today. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.